Passmore, Matthias Milowski, Aiden Celebrini, the brother of Macklin Celebrini, by the way. I'm willing to bet many of you didn't know Macklin had a brother, or that he's already been drafted by the Vancouver Canucks. And that's probably because he was drafted 171st overall. Just like Evan Passmore, just like Matthias Milowski, just like Pavel Datsyuk. It's rare a player drafted that late sees significant NHL ice time. It's more rare they become an all-star caliber player. It's out of the cards for them to become a 3-time Selkie winner, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and a first ballot Hall of Famer. But nothing is impossible for the Magic Man. Nothing is out of the cards because he's magic.
Got his head up nice. Whoa! Oh, and Greer broke the line.
How does a player who changed NHL history get drafted in the 6th round? Simply put, by living in Russia. The scout responsible for getting Datsyuk drafted, Hakan Andersson, only saw him play twice, and the first time was by accident. Andersson was in Russia to see another prospect play, a defenseman projected as a first rounder who just so happened to be playing against this crafty, undersized centerman. As the game went on, I saw this little centerman who was pretty good. He worked hard up and down the ice, had good hockey sense, he broke up a lot of plays, and had good skill. I went away from the game with a report on Colin, but also a report on this little kid. Andersson was impressed with Datsyuk, to the point he made another trip to Russia just to see him play, and again, he was impressed. Impressed with his skilled hands, impressed with his elite anticipation. So impressed, he made plans to see him play a 3rd time. But scouting in Russia outside of Moscow is a big process. You have to apply for a special visa. There are no flights that go directly to the smaller cities. It's often a 2-day trip just to get to the game. And when he made plans to see Datsyuk for a 3rd time, he got blocked in by a snowstorm. So Hakan Andersson had to convince the Red Wings to draft Pavel Datsyuk with only 2 games of notes on a guy no one had ever heard of before, who already had 2 years of draft eligibility behind him, an undersized 20-year-old Russian kid that would make NHL history.
What a hit on Stoll! In on goal, Datsyuk scores!
Pavel Datsyuk was drafted in the 6th round, 171st overall in the 1998 draft, but didn't come to the NHL until the 2001 season. And as soon as he arrived at the start of training camp, Datsyuk was already turning heads.
This kid shows up at training camp, Pavel Datsyuk, and they put me with him. He doesn't speak English, but he is the sickest player I've ever seen in my life.
But the start of Pavel's career would be unlike most superstars. Usually the all-time greats come into the league at 18 years old to the worst team possible and suffer for years before lifting that cup. Pavel Datsyuk won the Stanley Cup in his rookie year, and he was already 23 years old. There were flashes of the player Datsyuk would become. World-class anticipation, a sense for stealing the puck, those magic hands, and otherworldly creativity. But he had a reduced role, joining an already stacked Red Wings roster, a team that would win the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup in his rookie season. Pavel honestly didn't have to do that much. He was a key part in them winning. They might not have won without him, but much of the reason they won that Stanley Cup was the old guard. Sergei Fedorov, Brendan Shanahan, and Steve Yzerman, all of them were coming to an end of their Red Wings tenure. Either due to retirement or just leaving the team, it was finally time for Pavel Datsyuk to step up and lead this team alongside Henrik Zetterberg, who was drafted the year after Datsyuk in the 7th round, 210th overall. How do you just draft 2 back-to-back Hall of Famers in the 6th and 7th round? After the old guard left, Pavel Datsyuk came into his prime offensively and defensively. His minutes increased, his game refined, coming to his true form during the 07-08 season. He scored 97 points, a career high which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is common consensus that Datsyuk could have scored a lot more if he wasn't busy being the best defensive forward in the NHL. Winning his first of 3 consecutive Selkie trophies as the best defensive forward in the league, and this time leading his team to the Stanley Cup Finals. No longer a rookie playing 13 minutes a game. He was one of the best hockey players of all time. 23 points in 22 games. He lifts his 2nd Stanley Cup. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Pavel Datsyuk cemented himself as a legend of the game. The easiest way to show who Pavel had become is a player poll conducted by the Players Association in 2012. 250 NHL players voted him as #1 in 6 different categories. Now, the actual poll, for some reason, has been nuked from the internet. If you go to the NHLPA website, they released an article about the poll and linked the poll results in the article, but the link directs you to the article you were already looking at, and that article doesn't show the actual poll. On the new website, where they release new polls every year, it only goes back to 2017. So I don't know why the actual poll has gone missing, but there are a few articles written about the results at the time, and all of them revolve around Pavel Datsyuk, voted as the smartest player in the league, the hardest to take the puck from, the most difficult to stop, voted as by goalies, the cleanest player and the toughest forward to play against, and the toughest overall player to play against. That doesn't even make sense. In a few recent polls, they've asked a similar question. Which player do you least enjoy playing against but would like to have on your team? Brad Marchand owns this award. NHL players do not enjoy playing Brad Marchand, just like they didn't enjoy playing Pavel Datsyuk. The difference is, Datsyuk was also voted as the cleanest player in the league. He didn't need to bend the rules. He didn't need any antics. He was simply better. Voted as the 3rd player they would choose to start a franchise with, only behind prime Sidney Crosby and prime Alex Ovechkin. At the time, he was 33, and the only 2 people who he lost to were 2 top 10 players of all time in their absolute primes. But his biggest impact to the game of hockey was not some trophies or a player poll. It was a move. A move that reminds me a lot of Odell Beckham Jr. Anytime I've ever done a shootout for fun in practice, lining up with my team, ready to go down, try and score, there's always someone in that line saying, hey, I'm gonna do the Datsyuk flip.
And Brett Hall, a perfect feed. Pavel Datsyuk in the clear all alone. Oh, what a goal! Oh, put that in your highlight reel, bank.
Let me remove everything else, and this becomes a painfully simple move. But it leaves goalies looking like this. Datsyuk's highlight reel is a mile long. Dangles and snipes and embarrassing opponents, but his movements are never that twitchy. The opposite of Connor McDavid, Datsyuk wastes no movement, moving as efficient as possible with beautiful fluidity and inhumane deception. This shootout move is not about moving quickly or being twitchy. This shootout move is about pure deception. Everything Datsyuk shows looks like a shot going left side. But there's a lot happening here. When me and my teammates would try and pull this move off, whether it was the flip or the shot, we could never do it. None of us could ever get the goalie to move. But Datsyuk didn't just move goalies, he manipulated them, putting himself in a shooting position, tilting his blade up. Everything this goalie sees is a top left shot. A toe drag would be too easy to read. His foot is up for the shot, and when the stick moves for the shot, the puck stays. A sharp turn on one leg, dragging the puck completely behind him. Pavel set this goal up perfectly. But it's not a move that can be done an infinite amount of times. It was a highlight reel goal. He did it a few times, but eventually goalies will catch on, goalies will learn, and on January 17th, 2010, Antti Niemi learned. Detroit versus Chicago, all tied up 3-3 on the way to a shootout. The last player any goalie wants to see is Pavel Datsyuk, but he is the first player up. Niemi's seen his moves. He's seen the highlight reel. Everyone has. So when Datsyuk comes in and fakes a shot top left, he's ready. Still guarding and respecting the shot, but Niemi keeps his right leg up, ready to push off, ready to save the move we all know is coming, and he's already lost. Datsyuk knows Niemi knows his move. He knows what Niemi's thinking. He knows how Niemi will react. He's put him in this situation. He's got him right where he wants him. Pavel Datsyuk is a first ballot Hall of Famer, a 4-time Lady Byng winner, a 3-time Selkie winner, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. But to me, and I think to a lot of people out there, Datsyuk's impact on the game of hockey goes beyond his point totals, his elite two-way game, his trophies. He was a player that made people fall in love with the game of hockey. I vividly remember opening up my Chromebook in middle school every single day just to not pay attention and watch Pavel Datsyuk highlights on repeat, the same videos every single day. Who knows how many people out there would have never cared about the sport of hockey if not for the Magic Man, if not for Hakan Andersson convincing the Red Wings to draft an undersized 20-year-old Russian kid that would make NHL history. Thank you so much for watching. I seriously appreciate it. If you liked this video, you could like this video and subscribe. I really appreciate people who subscribe. It lets me know that you liked this video, but also I get to see a number get bigger, and who doesn't like it when the number gets bigger? Again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, and goodbye.